Good morning, decorated officers, esteemed panelists, and our friends from the industry and academia. On behalf of the Center for Joint Warfare Studies, I, Ritika Sharon David, welcome you all to this seminar on UAS Warfare with special focus on Counter-UAS 2025. Let me begin by extending a warm welcome to our chief guest, General Anil Chauhan, PVSM, UYSM, AVSM, SM, VSM, Chief of Defence Staff. To commence the proceedings, I invite Major General Dr. Ashok Kumar, Vishesh Seva Medal retired, Director General, Center for Joint Warfare Studies, to deliver the welcome address.
Respected Chief of Defence Staff, Gen Anil Chauhan, senior officers from Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, ITBP, BSF and Delhi Police, our friends from media, representatives of industry, ladies and gentlemen. The first use of unmanned aerial vehicles took place more than 2 centuries back. It was when the Montgolfier brothers used balloons to carry livestock. However, they were used for the first time for the weaponization way back in 1849 by Austrian forces when they attacked Venice. They also used this in World War II, but not much in abundance. But post 1960, there has been a lot of focus on the advent of unmanned aerial system warfare, which has multiple variations. It is up to your imagination, in which it can be diversified. With passage of time, the unmanned aerial vehicles stroke drones are being utilized in almost every field, both in the military as well as in civil domain. In military domain, the use is not limited to the conventional reconnaissance and surveillance, but has been used in targeting those targets which are not easily targeted by conventional weapon systems. The dynamism, innovation and application of these products is taking them to unprecedented level of performance. Their combined ability resulting in the swarm drones is offering lethal capacities. So much so that conventional platform like aircraft and things like that have come under the suspicion of their conventional effectiveness. These platforms, especially the first-person view drones, the FPV drones, have changed the war-fighting encounters between the adversaries in a big way. In some form, they have also become assets of individual soldiers akin to assault rifles. Russia and Ukraine have already created organic drone forces in their armies and working a lot as the conflict continues even after 3 years in that era. While advancements in UAVs are continuing every passing day, including their capacity to operate in GPS-denied environment, there is pronounced need of counter UAVs as well. As it emerges, a single approach cannot provide the desired solution for our defense forces. It has to be a hybrid solution, both looking at the hard kill as well as the soft kill. Though there are few countries in the world who have made substantial progress in these fields, but notable amongst them is China, which is being used as a source supplier by most of the buyers. You are well aware that China and Russia are aligned, whereas Ukraine was being supported by NATO countries including USA in the ongoing conflict. Initially, Ukraine forces had large number of the drones ex-China, but China used its backdoor software manipulation, and thereafter Ukraine worked hard and developed its own indigenous platform. And they were so effective that in no time they were able to harness the requisite capability, including the capacity to produce large number of drones. In fact, there are reports which say that in one day close to even 10,000 drones have been used in this vital war fighting on certain days. So they have done a lot of inventions, while the war has still been continuing, and same has been done by Russia. This is something which is needed by us also in a big way. While China is leading country in the mass production at these platforms, there are reports that PLA has ordered close to 1 million of kamikaze drones for their war fighting. Anything which is with China can deem to be with Pakistan, and Bangladesh has already procured certain drones from Turkey. So the kind of atmosphere in which we are in, it is incumbent on our part to have indigenous production of drones and counter drones in all kind of domains. For Center for Joint Warfare Studies, this seminar is a new beginning, because this time we are doing it solo without any commercial organization being our partner. And what we are trying to bring forth in front of you is that all stakeholders, Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, ITBP, BSF, Delhi Police, anybody and everybody is going to take part in this deliberation, because it is the whole of nation approach is something which is going to take us to the success. Because these equipments are not only going to be used when there is an open conventional conflict, but they are also going to be used during the peacetime, no war, no peacetime, and of course during the conflict and other forms of gray zone timings. So with these words, I look forward to a professionally enriching session as we go ahead. This session or the seminar is also part of Adani Chair of Defense, Chair of Excellence, which has been established with us, and Brigadier Anshuman Narang is the one who is holding that chair, and he has also put in a lot of effort to bring this seminar to the current level. With that note, I will request each one of you to openly and frankly discuss and bring out your thoughts. Don't worry if your thoughts are not responded positively by people. It simply means probably the time of that thought is yet to come. With that, Jai Hind and thank you.
Thank you for your insightful words and the gracious introduction, sir. With an abiding sense of honor, may I request our esteemed chief guest, General Anil Chauhan, Param Vishesh Seva Medal, Uttam Yudh Seva Medal, Ati Vishesh Seva Medal, Sena Medal, Vishesh Seva Medal, Chief of Defence Staff, to kindly enlighten us by delivering the keynote address.
Director General of CENJOWS, General Ashok Kumar, Vice Admiral Tarun Shopti, General Vipul Singhal, General Rajiv, officers of the three services. I believe there are officers from the CAPF also, members of the academia, industry, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be here amongst you today morning and deliver this keynote address on this useful seminar on unmanned aerial systems and counter-unmanned aerial systems. Since a large gathering amongst us is, Fauji, all people in uniform, and those connected with similar kind of systems, so it won't be out of place for me to start by saying that war and warfare is changing very, very rapidly, it's transforming very fast, and most of this is because of technology. And in some of my talks in the recent past, I would actually have identified three normal trends which technology is driving warfare. And these three trends are, first is about celerity, which is to do something with velocity and speed. And we have this smaller radar cross-section weapons, high-speed, intelligent routing, etc. are making weapon systems almost inaudible, invisible, and undetectable, and hence they are untargetable. So that's causing a major change. And in this, we are being assisted. The celerity kind of warfare is being assisted by advancements in hypersonics, whether it is glide or whether it is cruise. Thereafter, we have fractional orbital systems, we have drones, we have swarm drones, and such kind of technologies. And so this is making large platforms quite vulnerable, and every location now is possibly targetable. The second trend which I have been speaking about is about advancement in robotics. And this is because of advancements in automated systems, autonomous systems, intelligent systems, and this is ushering concepts like manned and unmanned kind of teaming, which is going to revolutionize kind of warfare. And this is also reducing the risk of human beings into combat. Exoskeletal that actually enhances human endurance are part of that same kind of a trend. And last is this that warfare is becoming increasingly intelligent through data-centric kind of warfare, in which data analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning are all combining to help you take better and faster decisions, human beings as well as for machines. So in this, supercomputers and your artificial intelligence and machine learning will come and play a major role. But when we look at this unmanned aerial systems, this is one system which is exploiting all these three trends which I just spoke about. That's celerity, an element of that, element of robotics and automation, and then is of course intelligent kind of warfare. And that is why probably the effects which these kind of systems are producing are actually dramatic and what we may call as disruptive. So US has become, or the unmanned aerial systems have become, an essential component of recent wars as they transform from being combat enablers to becoming action executors on ground. DG CENJOWS has spoken about this use of drones in recent conflict in Ukraine, and of course there is another conflict in which they were very decisively used. That was the conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and this has been put to a very, very innovative kind of use, and this is increasing by the day. Of course, this will be a subject of the discussion which you will be holding today. But what we are witnessing is combination of all this, which is transforming warfare, as I said earlier. And in some manner, we all knew that combat was always between two human beings. Ever since recorded history, warfare was between two human beings. A man could be better equipped by the other man. You could have had a better helmet or a better weapon, a lance. You could have a rifle. Other gentlemen could have a better rifle or a longer range rifle, artillery gun. But essentially, combat was between two humans. Now, the warfare is the cusp of an era, but war could be between human beings and machines. And tomorrow it could be between machines as well as machines. And most of these machines would be probably intelligent. So the chances are, this is actually drastically changing the nature as well as character of warfare. So at this particular moment, I can only say that I must compliment CENJOWS for selecting this particular topic for this particular seminar, which I think is not only relevant but also important. So allow me to actually begin by talking a little bit of history, and some of the thunder has been taken away by the DG when he spoke about that drone warfare is actually 2 centuries old. What I thought was it was radio-controlled unmanned aircraft for target practice and training were first introduced by the British and US Americans during World War II. We also know that aero modeling and flying has been part of a hobby actually, much before these drones were introduced. It's only if you put a payload on top of it, it'll have a military application. But otherwise, people used to do this aero modeling and flying. That's a part of hobby. These were there much earlier. But the first time the US used them was in Vietnam War. That was a Ryan Model 147, which was a low-altitude jet-powered reconnaissance drone, which was used by the Americans. Of course, the exploitation of Predator drones during conflicts in 1990s in the Balkans for surveillance and the use of armed Predators drone with Hellfire missile in Afghanistan in 2001 revolutionized drone warfare. Since then, drones have been widely employed in a growing list of conflicts and includes a number of civil conflicts also that's happened in Libya, Syria, and Yemen. In 2004, Hezbollah became the first non-state group to use drones. Since then, non-state actors like ISIS, Houthis, and various terrorist outfits have increasingly used such kind of equipment to have transformative effects in warfare. Ukraine warfare actually has changed the perception of unmanned systems. Now we have unmanned systems which are operating on ground, air, water, and underwater. So today we are witnessing changes in the accessibility and affordability. So drones are also increasingly becoming very, very cheap. We've heard about cardboard drones being made in Ukraine warfare. We have homemade loiter ammunitions, modified racing drones, and do-it-yourself kind of kamikaze kits. So this is another area in which low cost and high utility equipment is being used at a very, very fast pace. So the unmanned aerial system is thus a relatively new concept and a tool for modern warfare, and hence things do not seem to have settled actually, because we still actually not have been able to decide what is what. So we are, as users, we are still using similar of sounding kind of terms like the DG mentioned. I would have mentioned, I'm talking about drones when there is a seminar on unmanned aerial systems. So unless our vocabulary and the grammar for this use is actually established, and this establishment of this vocabulary and grammar is important, but it has to be established by the armed forces, and then there will be a common parameter for the academia to do kind of a research and manufacture to develop such kind of things. So we use terms like unmanned systems, and similarly we use terms like uncrewed systems. I had recently gone abroad, they are using these terms of uncrewed systems. While we are using this unmanned and unmanned team, but that's not applicable for uncrewed kind of systems. So we are using the loiter ammunition as a part of a drone, but we still do not know, we have not classified it, whether it's an artillery ammunition, which is after all delivering ammunition as an ordnance at a distance of long range, only with the time of flight is slightly kind of a longer. Or is it a subsonic cruise missile, or it's an armed drone, we're not very sure. Similarly, we alternatively use the words as autonomous and intelligent without actually understanding the underlying difference between what is autonomous and what is intelligent. While drones have been there for some time and drones have been classified, all of us know, as nano, micro, mini, small, medium, large size based on their size, and UAVs have been classified as male and hail, based on the altitude on which they operate and the endurance of them. But there is a very little understanding how do we distinguish these drones and UAVs from, say, RPAs or, say, unmanned aerial systems. So this is where I think this particular seminar should ideate upon and come out with some kind of an Indian understanding of how do we look at these particular systems. So classically, I'd like to put across my views on this. Classically, currently, all UAVs are drones, but all drones may not be UAVs. UAV may have the capability to fly autonomously, whereas a RPA will have a pilot to actually control it. Whereas unmanned aerial systems, when we talk about systems, then of course we are talking a different league altogether. We are talking about a whole ecosystem which includes a man-in-loop, exploitation stations, communication enablers, and a particular platform which is flying, which could be called as a UAV. So UAV is a part of a UAS system, the whole system. And what needs to be understood is that when we are trying to develop counter-UAS systems, we should not only focus on that platform, which is the UAV, but also the complete system which goes along with it. So that I think is important. It's something to the similar concept of the sixth generation aircraft. When we talk about this, people usually understand a sixth generation aircraft as a platform. No, it's a whole system which comes into it, which along with it has adjunct large number of unmanned platforms, the loyal wingman kind of a concept, state-of-art avionics, real-time data fusion. We have cyber and electronic warfare capability, artificial intelligence, data decisions, communications, etc., and a combat cloud going along with this particular system which helps you actually fight. So a US system is also slightly different and maybe more complicated. I'll try to draw that analogy with the sixth generation kind of an aircraft. So it's therefore important to understand this particular system. And my understanding, I'll try and share with you, and you can deliberate it further during the course of the seminar, that they could be under 4 distinct generations. The first generation would comprise of unmanned aerial systems where there is a man in the loop. So remotely piloted systems are essentially controlled by humans who are actually located on ground. And they're able to control the systems by radio control, or by, say, you can increase the distance by having a satellite kind of a control. But essentially the station is on the ground, and then you're controlling a particular UAS system. That could be called as first generations of UAS systems. The second generation UAS systems is when you're putting the gentleman who's actually in the combat area. That means if when you have a MUMT concept, the aircraft itself is the combat zone, and then it is controlling some number of, say, loyal wingmans or smaller kind of platforms. Similarly, you could have a Mogami class frigate, which have recently the Japanese have it, in which you have a number of systems, which unmanned systems which are operating in the air, they're operating in surface, and there's operating subsurface. They're all being controlled by one particular system. You could also put this in, say, unmanned tanks, where you have a master command and control tank along with number of unmanned systems. So this could be the second generation. The third generation of unmanned aerial systems would exploit the concept of autonomous technology. These UAS are not dependent on radio signals or satellite links and will be able to operate in a GPS-denied environment. These systems worked on advanced prefed logic codes, networks making them capable of smart routing, sensing, and loiter targeting. So we have a number of technologies like TERCOM, etc., which can provide you independent from GPS. So these are really autonomous kind of systems. And the last category of the fourth generation, what I earlier mentioned, would be totally intelligent. When we talk about intelligent, they'll have a quantum of artificial intelligence built into it, so that they can distinguish between actually enemy, neutrals, and friendly forces. They can take evasive action of their own. They're designed to actually understand how combat is going on. They should be able to deceive systems of their own. They could be self-healing in their nature should they get damaged. And in case a particular target is not there, it should be able to route itself to an alternate kind of a target. So the fourth type would be the intelligent kind of a system. So this is my understanding of how we can classify UAS systems, and I will request that the deliberations of the seminar talk about this particular system, so that we have a clarity on what I said earlier was the vocabulary as well as the grammar of UAS systems. Now, let's talk about counter-UAS systems. Technology constantly evolves to counter emerging threats, creating a cycle of innovation and adaptation. Every advancement in warfare prompts the development of countermeasures to neutralize its effectiveness. We all know that tanks revolutionized warfare. You know, the First World War and thereafter Second World War, but immediately there was a system where anti-tank weapons were developed. So there were the guided missiles or high penetration ammunitions. Similarly, the moment we developed aircrafts, you had this air defense systems coming up, whether in terms of missiles or radar guided interception. So similarly, when we had drones, so we had these counter drone systems coming up, which would use anti-drone technologies like electronic warfare, laser-based interception, and kinetic defense. So today, when we are talking about unmanned aerial systems, and I've described the 4 categories, which I understand are the type of generations of UAS systems, then accordingly we'll have to build countermeasures or counter systems to counter this UAS kind of drones. So, India's story of developing UAS unmanned aerial systems and counter-UAS systems will only start once, I said earlier, vocabulary and grammar it gets clarified, and that's the business of people in uniform. The deliberations of the seminar must focus on this, and the essay of bigger essay or the story of Atmanirbharta and Indianization of this UAS system will only begin thereafter. And a couple of few essentials which I thought were important before we script this particular essay of story is that there should be a complete synergy between the user, the designer, and the manufacturer. That I think is essential. And thereafter, we'll have to be, the second essential is that we have to be very, very innovative. A number of examples of use of these drones have been given by me and my predecessor while talking about it. So unless we are innovative, we are inventive, we are actually futuristic in a thought process, will not be able to exploit it. And this will require closer coordination between all three, which I said, the user, the gentleman who's designing it, and then the gentleman who's manufacturing it. I think this is important. And the Ministry of Defense has already undertaken a large number of initiatives to, as a catalyst, which will act, our policy decisions will act as a catalyst for these initiatives, which I said we have this IDEX, or which we have DISC Prime, Sprint, Aditi. They are all coming under the IDS framework that provides some kind of a right direction and right momentum for achieving what I've just spoken about. And this particular year is especially important because the Honorable Raksha Mantri has declared 2025 as a year of reforms. So contemporary conflicts, as we have seen, are also slightly longish, and there's a lot of wastage and usage. So in case for us, people who are manufacturing or designing this, we must also look at cost and also simultaneously look at surge capacities and to ramp up production during crisis and war. I think these aspects are equally important. Last but not the least, as we prepare and expand roles for unmanned aerial systems and the growing presence of counter unmanned aerial systems, we cannot forget the importance of that particular man who's behind that particular machine. So he needs to be trained, he needs to be equipped very well. He may be close to combat, he may be distant away from the combat, but actually he is the man who is going to be important. So this is important when we transit from man in the loop to man on the loop and man being out of the loop. The last one may be a bit of a distance away, but then of course it is important. So to conclude, I can only say that combat today is increasingly becoming intelligent, digitized, decentralized, transparent, multi-domain, and autonomous. The expansion of threats in traditional domains and introduction of new domains in warfare, such as cyberspace, necessitates that Indian armed forces are capable of operating in all domains with cross-domain capability. I firmly believe that technology will not make you win war. It's the strategy which will make you win war. But then, with this technology becoming so important, especially technologies like unmanned aerial systems, they are going to make a fundamental change in the strategy also, or the tactics and how you're going to fight. So it's my firm belief also that optimal integration of US system capability with manned system will economize our military orbat, that's orbat or battle, and will enable us to achieve strategic surprise, strengthening our deterrence. Failing to develop and integrate these systems risk strategic and tactical obsolescence. With these thoughts, I wish the organizing team from CENJOWS and all the participants the very best for the conduct of the seminar. Together, let's all build a Sashakt, Surakshit, and Viksit Bharat. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your patient hearing, and Jai Hind.